There are questions in this world that whisper, and then there are questions that scream. Tonight, we're dealing with the second kind, because in PLURIBUS, Episode 5, a woman named Carol pulled back a tarp, and for the first time in this entire series, the world finally blinked. Not because she discovered a crime, not because she uncovered a secret program, but because she stumbled upon something manufactured, organized, and terrifyingly clean. Something that shouldn't exist. Something that raises a single chilling question. What exactly are people drinking when they think they're drinking milk? And if that question doesn't send a shiver down your spine, then the answer absolutely will. Because beneath the polished metal floors of Duke City Dairy, behind a silence that felt engineered instead of natural, Carol found a truth so cold, so carefully packaged, that even she, the woman who has been elbows deep in mysteries since episode 1, took a step back. Not because she was scared, but because she understood. And understanding is always more horrifying than surprise. Tonight, we're diving into that moment. The tarp, the powder, the hive, the bodies, the fake milk, and the disturbing ecosystem running this entire world. So before we go deeper, let me ask you something. If humanity wasn't being eaten, but recycled, would that be better or worse? Think about that as we go in. The silence of the facility. Carol didn't arrive at Duke City Dairy as a hero. She came as a scientist with questions. The wrong kind of questions. The kind that make the universe turn its face away. She expected supply issues. She expected contaminated batches. She expected a system flaw. But what she didn't expect was perfection. Not the human kind, the industrial kind. The kind built in straight lines and stainless steel. The kind that hums at a frequency just above fear. Every inch of the facility felt alive. Not with workers, but with purpose. And that purpose, as she would learn, had nothing to do with cows. In fact, the only cow-like thing in the entire building was the label slapped on a carton of white liquid that dissolved the moment it touched water. Milk doesn't do that. Protein doesn't do that. Even powdered supplements cling to the spoon like they're afraid of drowning. But this powder, this stuff, vanished so cleanly that Carol's scientific instincts immediately started clawing at her ribs. Something was wrong. Something was designed. The powder that shouldn't exist. Let's talk about the powder. Because if there's one thing every viewer noticed immediately, it dissolves too fast. Not normal. Not organic. Not even synthetic in a human sense. This was a product that wanted to dissolve. A substance created for one purpose. To disappear into your drink before you ask questions. Carol, however, asked the one question this society has silently begged everyone not to ask. What is this made of? And that single question is what led her to the tarp. The walk toward the tarp, a slow descent. The facility had a strange gravity. Every footstep echoed like walking through a mausoleum. Every corner felt like it was waiting for her. And the machines, silent and motionless, looked less like tools and more like witnesses. Then she saw it. A mound. Uniform. Covered in industrial tarp. Held down with metal clips so precise you'd swear a machine arranged them. Carol expected boxes, or pallets, or equipment. Instead, when she lifted the tarp, just enough to peek underneath, the world snapped into a darker shape. Carol sees the inventory. It wasn't chaos. It wasn't gore. It wasn't violence. It was inventory. Row after row, stacked on top of one another, shrink-wrapped in thick, transparent plastic. Human bodies. Not mangled, not bleeding, not posed, just neutral. stored, processed.
Packaged, all the same size, all the same shape, all stripped of identity. And that's the most horrifying part, because horror comes with emotion, but this came with efficiency. No blood, no struggle, no dirt. These weren't murder victims, these were resources. Bodies prepared for the next stage of the cycle, a cycle Carol didn't understand fully until she connected it to the powder. And then everything snapped into place. The real milk, the unthinkable truth. That powder people mix with water isn't dairy, it isn't plant-based, it isn't synthetic, it's biomass. Human biomass. Dehydrated, processed, refined, powdered. The world isn't drinking milk. The world is drinking people. Let that sink in for a moment. Every cup, every carton, every sip, the same taste, the same texture, the same consistency. Because the ingredient is the same. And here's the twisted irony. It's sustainable. It's efficient. It's horrifying. And it's exactly how a hive works. The hive mind parallel, the darker biology. This is where things get biologically disturbing. In nature, bees do something similar. When worker bees die inside the hive recycles them. The nutrients get repurposed. Nothing is wasted. To a hive, a dead worker is not a tragedy. It is fuel. Pluribus is operating under the same logic. The hive mind is the queen. Humans are the workers. And when workers are used up, tired, or mentally merged beyond repair,